Aaron Rodgers joined the Stephen A. Smith Show on SiriusXM Mad Dog Radio yesterday, Channel 82, 1 to 3 Eastern. Stephen A., don't say I don't love you. Rodgers facing his fair share of critics, including the media, his brother, former teammates such as Greg Jennings, and the list goes on. Stephen A. asked Jennings about this criticism yesterday. Take a listen.
I don't really feel like I need to react to every story that's out there. I think the majority of these stories, you're talking about the same very small group of people doing the talking. The last article, there was a ton of quotes from my current teammates who all said very positive things about our relationship and the time that we spend together. And those are the opinions that matter to me. This small group of people, the same group of people who talk for these interviews. I think every time there's words out there, to me it says more about those people, I think, than it does about me.
Stephen A., is the Rodgers criticism justified?
Hell no, it's not. It's not justified at all. First of all, let me say that it was an extreme honor. I know that I was having fun and having a good time, but I was honored to have him on my show. I'm a huge fan, and I'm not going to apologize for that to anybody. I love me some Aaron Rodgers. That's why I came up with the slogan years ago, he's a bad man. I'm not talking about results because obviously we look at the Tom Brady's of the world and we know it doesn't compare. One Super Bowl doesn't compare to four and 6 trips to the Super Bowl and all of this other stuff. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have that. And I get that. But from a purely talent perspective, talent in terms of throwing that football, whether scrambling to your left, your right, outside the pocket, standing in the pocket and flinging that football and having the wheels to couple with it at the quarterback position, my personal belief is I think Aaron Rodgers is the most talented, the greatest talent at the quarterback position I have ever seen. I'm dead serious about that. I'm not joking. You can talk about Dan Marino. You can talk about Dan Fouts. You can talk about John Elway. You can talk about, Joe Montana. You can talk about Brady and Peyton Manning and all of them. The talent that this brother has at the quarterback position, his ability to fling that football and to do the things that he does from a talent perspective, I consider him the greatest. And I'm not apologizing for that to anybody. And so I say all of that to say, when we talk about criticism, like I said to Greg Jennings when he was up in here, what are you talking about? Any kind of receiver, what are you talking about? I don't care what his brother says about. That's family issues. That ain't none of our business. Okay, a lot of people have problems with their siblings. We know nothing about it. It's none of our damn business. The only difference between Aaron Rodgers and somebody like me is he'll ignore them, while me, I'm prone to cuss you out. That's the difference between us. You asked me about my family as it pertains to his professional performance. Look at what the Green Bay Packers are able to do with year after year, this guy being devoid of a consistent, reliable running game, a consistent, reliable defense, a consistent, reliable offensive line, and somehow, some way, this man carries the franchise on his back. This brother's one of a kind, man. And I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm quite sure there are things that he could do to tweak stuff just a little bit, but I say it many times, and I'll say it again. He's a bad man. I would take him any day.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. He's the best I've ever seen. Not the greatest. I want to just quickly go through this. There's a difference between better and greater. In the one sport that can be measured objectively, that's track and field, we see that every top 10 sprinter in the world today is faster than Jesse Owens. That means they're all better. But how many are as great? How did they do against their contemporaries? And because Aaron Rodgers hasn't had Bill Belichick, he doesn't have the kind of resume in the playoffs that Tom Brady does. And so he will not likely be considered the greatest quarterback ever. But the best? You're saying the guy just who can do the most things, who I would like, everything else being equal, I'd want on my team at quarterback? Aaron Rodgers. I think he's the guy. And I think one of the reasons he doesn't get even more credit is he's not a kind of, I apologize, Jeff Saturday, because I know offensive linemen are very smart guys, but he's not the kind of football meathead that other football players like, I don't think, Jeff. That's what it appears to me. But I do think the criticism of him in the last year and 3 quarters, since the beginning of last year, has been justified. Not that he's been terrible. He's been an A-. You know, for most of last year and then most of this year, there have been MVP candidates, and maybe he's now one. We'll see how it shakes out. And then he's been right below the MVP candidates. But we're used to knowing when we watch him, that's the best dude in the game. And he's been something less than that the last couple of years. And football's so interdependent, so reliant on other positions, coaching, etc. Your defense, if you're a quarterback without a great defense, suddenly you don't look as good as you would otherwise. So I get all that, but I also think his play has been something less than the best version of himself. And so the recent criticism, based on the standard he set, is justified. He's still elite, but the 3 or 4 or 5 years before last season, I thought that's the best player in the game, period. And truth be told, guys, I'll still take Aaron Rodgers before anyone else. I think if Bill Belichick had Aaron Rodgers on the Patriots right now, they'd be even better. I just think he's that good.
Wow, I tell you, man, you two guys. I mean, I like Aaron Rodgers. He's a good player. I'm surprised that we're talking about the best or the greatest of all those things. When you're talking about Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, all those things, I understand what you're saying. It would be hard for me because of what you're saying. When you call someone the best, when you say that of all time or best where we are, it's hard for me to say that Aaron Rodgers is that right now. And for exactly your point, Max, of the last year and 3 quarters or whatever it is, year and a third, really. But to your point, it hasn't just been Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers had tried to press because of what he was being asked to do. I think when you have a football team that, to your point, can't run the football, you're struggling protection, your defense isn't lining up and taking care of business the way they should. As a quarterback, you take too much credit and you get too much criticism. And that's just the role, and that's the job that you have signed up for. So he has taken some shots that probably weren't necessarily fair according to the way that he's played. Because I'm like you, every year, I don't consider him below the MVPs. I always think he's in that MVP category because what you do ask him to do, whether it's extend plays with his legs, put the ball downfield, be aggressive and make those attacking style offensive plays, listen, that's hard to do. And when defenses understand that's what you're going to do, and they are taking that away, and you still can get it done to a certain degree, he was still getting it done. I mean, you got to take your hat off. I mean, this guy deserves respect as a type of quarterback he is. And to the other side, Stephen A., when you're talking about criticism from players of the type of person that he is and taking shots, whether it's his brother or other guys, I have always been, listen, there are going to be guys you like and dislike in the locker room. That's reality, right? Your personality may not work. It may be, he may not be the team guy that you expect him to be. The way that he criticized his team this year, I would have had a problem with that if I was in the locker room. I would have went back and said, hey, listen, I'm all for it. You speak for yourself. That's great, man. Don't speak for me and the effort I'm putting forward, right? I'm not into that from whatever position you're sitting at. So there are things that are going to offend players, and guys aren't going to hold their tongue because he's Aaron Rodgers and the quarterback and the way that the media looks at him or his coaching staff looks at him or his GM looks at him, right? When we walk in that locker room, we're all the same. And no one cares what position you hold. If you're speaking ill about the way we've handled it, you better have talked to me before and said, hey, look, if I get asked, this is what I'm going to say. So at least we're on the same page. So and another thing, when you talked about the Jennings and you talked about Donald Driver and those guys played with Favre before that as well. So they're taking it from a different relationship maybe altogether, and we don't know. And until you put it in context, I don't know. But I would say
Jeff,
that
who's better,
criticism
Favre or
on the field
I got a question.
is ill-fated. This guy, as a football player, has played lights out. He deserves all the credit he gets. MVP candidates, most valuable player, the awards he's gotten. Will he get to that 4 or 5 number from the Super Bowls? You have no idea. With a better coach, with Belichick, would they be better? No one knows. So we're assuming a lot of things with all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, in the system he's in, he's been a fantastic player.
Let me tell you the problem that I have with you saying that we're assuming. I don't believe I am assuming, because here's what I always say when I give speeches, Jeff. I am brilliant because I know I'm not. I listen to those who are.
Right.
And so if I'm listening to Jeff
Saturday,
if I'm listening, no, obviously it has nothing to do with this show because I teach you every day.
No, you handpicked me for that reason,
Let me focus on Jeff. Let me focus on Jeff right here.
Bring it.
Jeff, here's the deal.
Yep.
When we sit up here, I listen to you guys talk football, and you guys dissect and highlight the intangibles that contribute to success or compromises the possibility of capturing it. So if I take those things into consideration and I use the words, remember, I said you can't dispute results.
Right.
Tom Brady is the creme de la creme. What I said is, talent-wise, in terms of physical ability and what you have put on display, who can dispute that we have seen the notion that we have not seen better than Aaron Rodgers as a talent? Who can dispute that?
I would say, hey, look at Tom Brady and what he's done for the longevity that he's done. I mean, does he look any worse right now than he did 4 years ago? The guy's still freaking slinging it, man.
Hey,
I mean, so to take that and say he's more talented, I mean, I'm not sure how you're value judging. I think it's a broad generalization.
Can he run with the football?
Absolutely. Is he? That's not what he's asked to do. I mean, I'm saying for what he does
can't do that,
and
though.
what they're doing,
Jeff,
that's what I'm saying.
Jeff, time out 1 second, real quick. Favre or Rodgers, who do you got at their best?
Are you at Stephen A or me?
You.
I'm going
Jeff.
Favre.
Wow, I'm going Rodgers.
Please. Intercept as many interceptions as he threw. Just stop it,
Jeff
Jeff.
knows a little more about football than
Stop
Steve and me
it.
put together.
Oh, come
That's gonna be
on.
two guys in Green Bay. You know who my
come
favorite is. He's gonna have a 1 and 8 on his jersey, right? I mean, I play
I'm
with
going to
13.
drink my hot chocolate.
That's where I'm
going to drink my hot chocolate.
That's where I'm going.
I ain't got
Later in the
time.
show. Leave
I ain't got
Jeff
time.
alone. We want you guys to
please,
tell us
Jeff,
what you
Jeff,
think in
stop
our
it,
Twitter
Jeff.
poll. Who
Stop
would you
it.
rather have as your team's quarterback, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady? The guys have some.
Oh, I like to see this.
To this one. I'm Team Brady, Jeff. Thank you so much for
like
being
it.
with us. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Hey, your Steelers are surging at the right time, winners of 4 straight, and now first in the AFC North at 8-5. Le'Veon Bell feeling good about it after his franchise best 298 yards from scrimmage against the Bills. How about that? Telling Peter King of the Monday Morning Quarterback, I don't think any team in the NFL wants to play us right now. Since week 8 or 9, I've been saying this. Next week, we'll play even better. Now, since midseason, Bell's been averaging 191.4 yards from scrimmage. Stephen A., this is your squad. Is Bell right?
No, he's not right. I think he's right if he's talking about their offense. I think there's plenty of teams that I could pick from that would love to play against the Steelers defense. I don't think they're that enamored with it. This is not the Steel Curtain. This is not the Jays of Mean Joe Green and L.C. Greenwood with Jack Lambert and Jack Ham and Mel Blount and the crew. These are these Steelers where you got Cockrell and Gay and whoever the hell else is in their secondary that ain't getting it done. They rank 21st against the pass. And oh, by the way, that's a vast improvement compared to what they were. So even though they're improving and Mike Tomlin is going about the business of correcting those things, the reality is clear. The Pittsburgh Steelers are continuously suspect against the pass. Teams know you can throw on this team. And as a result, there's plenty of teams that would not mind playing against the Steelers at all based on that defense. Offensively, that's a different matter. You give Le'Veon Bell the ball, and you still got Antonio Brown out there with Jones and Marcus Wheaton and Sammy Coates and those boys. If Big Ben Roethlisberger is on his game, there's no one that wants to play that offense. So I think Le'Veon Bell was telling the Peter King, the great Peter King of the Monday Morning Quarterback, I think what he was saying is nobody wants to play against us as in this offense. He wasn't talking about the team collectively because he damn sure can't say that about their defense. There's plenty of teams that would not mind going up against that Steelers defense. Plenty.
So what's your answer? Is he right or wrong?
He's wrong. He's incomplete because he didn't specify whether he was talking about the team or the offense. I'm saying if he's talking about the offense, yes. He's right. If he's talking about the defense, hell no, he's wrong.
I just want to write down incomplete.
The
the next time you accuse me of taking both sides, I just want to write down
I'm not
the
taking
answer
both
that seems
sides.
to satisfy
no.
you.
I don't know. Hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I got it.
First
For another
of all,
time.
you can't compare me to you because nobody needs a dictionary or a thesaurus or an encyclopedia to figure out what the hell I'm saying.
I don't know.
That's an entirely
Some
different
of those
matter.
words blow
All right,
me
well, go ahead.
away.
Sure about that,
I don't
Stephen A.
know, Stephen A.
All right.
He's right. No one wants to play the Steelers. It's not that they're the best team. Look, if they had a real defense, Stephen A., they'd just be the best team. They're not the best team. That's not what he's saying, or at least it's not what I'm saying. They're not the best team, but they're exactly the kind of team you don't want. If that's your draw in the tournament, you're upset about that. You're like, damn, they're not the best team, but we had to get the Steelers. And the reason is they have the coach, the quarterback, the wideout, and the running back at an elite level. You got Mike Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell. And that's what it comes down to. Back in the day, the Indianapolis Colts weren't always the best team, but you look at what they had, specifically, let's just deal with the players. Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Edgerrin James. It might not have been the best, but you want to play those guys in the playoffs? And as it turns out, Peyton Manning wasn't great in the playoffs back then, so maybe the answer is yes. But that hasn't been Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger is the kind of guy you want in the playoffs. So the whole point of a statement like this is not the claim that the team is the best. It's the claim that their upside is tremendous and you'd rather not play them, and I totally agree with that.
Okay.
All right. Ben Roethlisberger endorsing Le'Veon Bell for MVP, saying he'd vote for 2-6 any day of the week.